The Get Along Gang and the Bad Loser. One Saturday afternoon in spring, Zipper Cat hurried down the path that led to the Get Along Gang clubhouse. Zipper was excited. The gang was having a contest that day to choose a secret password for the club, and Zipper was hoping to win. After the contest, there was going to be a party. The clubhouse was a little red caboose. It stood on abandoned tracks at the edge of town. When Zipper got to the clubhouse, he hung his new sign on the door. It read, "Stop. Repeat the password." Zipper had made the sign himself, and he was very proud of it. Inside the clubhouse, waiting for the winner of the password contest, was a shiny skateboard donated by Lolly Squirrel's father. Her father was quite rich. Zipper gazed longingly at the prize. Soon it was time for the contest. Everyone wrote his or her secret password on a piece of paper and put it in Lolly's beret. Woma Lamb gave her paper to Lolly and said, "No one will ever guess my word." "I bet I can," said Bingo. "Bet it all, Beaver. Your word is mirror." Woma didn't think Bingo was funny. "I have a really great word," said Zipper. "It just has to win. Do you have a great word, Montgomery?" Montgomery Moose sighed. He could tell that Zipper wanted to win very badly. As usual, Zipper couldn't stand losing. Dottie read each password out loud. Macadamia, Pollywog, Sneaker, and this one says mirror power. Everyone looked at Woma Lamb and giggled. Woma looked embarrassed. "The second to last word," Dottie said finally, "is gangbusters." It was Zipper's word, and it was a great word. Everyone cheered. "The last word," Dottie continued, "from you-know-who, is Moose Chief." The gang cheered again. Moose Chief was great too. Dottie suggested a vote between Gangbusters and Moose Chief. Dottie counted the votes. "The winner," she said at last, "is Moose Chief." Of course, it was Montgomery's word, and everybody congratulated him. Everybody, that is, except Zipper. Zipper looked upset. Suddenly he jumped up and ran to the door of the clubhouse. "It was a dumb contest," he shouted, "and Montgomery always wins everything." Zipper looked at the sign on the door. "The sign is dumb too," he said. "I'm going to throw it in the swamp." He grabbed the sign and slammed the door behind him. It was the gang's turn to be upset. They didn't know what to do about Zipper. "I think we should leave him alone," said Dottie at last. "He'll come back when he's tired of being mad." Montgomery shook his head. "I think we should go find him and talk to him," he said. "Anyone want to go with me?" Montgomery and several others left the clubhouse to go find Zipper. "Let's start the party," said Woma. She passed a plate of chocolate cookies around, but no one took any. It wasn't a party without the rest of the gang. "I guess we should go after Zipper too," said Dottie. They all agreed and went outside to walk to the swamp. When Zipper stopped running, he was deep in Gummy Foot Swamp. The swamp was chilly and quiet. Zipper didn't know he was being watched. He was still angry. He looked at the sign. "Stop. Repeat the password," he said. "Boy, that's stupid." He threw the sign in the air. It landed up in a tall dead tree. Zipper shrugged and walked away. The two swamp residents who had been spying on Zipper were Ketchum Crocodile and Leland Lizard. Ketchum was delighted that Zipper had thrown his sign away. "I need a sign like that for my new hideaway," he said to Leland. "Let's go to my place for a ladder. I'll think up a password on the way." Leland, who was not the brightest kind of lizard, didn't understand why they had to walk all the way to Ketchum's house. "Why do we need a ladder for, boss? What do we need a ladder for, boss?" he asked. "You lobololly lizard," shouted Ketchum. "We need it so that you can climb up into the tree to get that sign." While Ketchum was yelling at Leland, Zipper wandered back to the tall tree. He stared up at the sign to see. He stared up at the sign sadly. "I wish I hadn't thrown it up there," he said to himself. "I wish I were back at the clubhouse." "Zipper, where are you?" a voice suddenly called from far away. When Zipper heard his name, he shivered. Maybe wily old Ketchum Crocodile was coming after him. On the other hand, it could be the gang too. Zipper's friends might be looking for him. Zipper decided to take a chance and answered back. "Here I am," he shouted, "over here." It was Montgomery and the others, and Zipper was very glad to see them. "I thought you were mad at me," he said to Montgomery. "I wasn't a very good loser after the contest was over." "That's okay," said Montgomery. "But what did you do with the sign you made?" Zipper pointed up into the tree. Just then Ketchum and Leland came back with his ladder. "Finders keepers," said Ketchum. "The sign is ours now." Leland hurried up the ladder. "Quick, Zipper," said Montgomery. "You get the sign before Leland." Zipper hurried up the tree. Up they climbed, racing for the sign. Leland was ahead until, suddenly, he forgot why he was up in the tree. By the time he remembered, Zipper caught up with him. They were close to the sign. They crawled out on the same branch to reach for it. But the branch broke under them. Zipper and Leland grabbed other branches, but the sign began to fall. "Watch out below!" shouted Zipper. The sign landed on one of Ketchum's big feet. "Ouch!" cried Ketchum. He grabbed his foot and Montgomery grabbed the sign. Suddenly they heard Leland calling, "Help!" Leland was falling out of the tree. He landed on Ketchum's big tail. "Ew!" shouted Ketchum. He let out his aching foot and hugged his tail. Leland rubbed his bruised bottom. "Sorry, boss," he said. "I lost my footing." "I'd like to lose you in the big bog," said Ketchum angrily as he and Leland limped away. "Losing sure is a problem today," Zipper said to the gang. Zipper was grinning. The late afternoon shadows were growing longer. "We'd better go home," said little Porcupine. Montgomery tried to lead the gang out of the swamp, but he wasn't sure he was going the right way. "I bet we're lost," said Bingo Beaver. Little Portia began to cry. "It's all right, Portia," said Montgomery. "I see a lightning flashing on the far side of the clearing. Let's go." It was Dottie and the rest of the gang. The light Montgomery had seen came from Woma's mirror. It reflected the last rays of the sun when she combed her hair. "Now I know the way home," said Montgomery. "Let's go, like gangbusters." "We'll be home in no time," said Zipper happily. "Before you can say Moose Chief."